Adopt a Home for Wildlife was developed and tested in a pilot study in 2017 to 18 and resumed once 3 years of funding had been secured in late 2021. Sites in the project are called wildlife homes. The Montserrat National Trust EcoPlay project is one of the wildlife homes, but is also much more, as this series of videos shows. The philosophy of the project is explained in part 1.
So, welcome to Wildlife Home number 5, the Montserrat National Trust's EcoPlay. This is an unusual site in that the adopters are also part of the team of advisors, so they can look at all aspects. So my name is Mike Piankowski of UK Overseas Charities Conservation Forum, and I'm joined today by Mrs. Sarita Francis, the Executive Director of the Montserrat National Trust, and also one of the project leaders, as am I, and by Delmore Ryan, who is both the Senior Officer of the Trust and also one of the project officers for this. So, behind the camera, so the voice you'll hear at times is Anne Piankowski, the producer and director of this series. So, Sarita, hello, and thank you, and thank you both of you for being here for this discussion about your site. And what I know is a busy day for the Trust, as most days tend to be, I know. Yeah. So, Sarita, could you tell us something of this site, its particular features, and why it's good to have it also in the Wildlife Home exercise?
This site we acquired over a year ago, and we had a vision that this site would be used for children exploring nature and learning about nature. So we plan to put a building here, which is the EcoPlay building, so the children can find ways of learning about the environment. They can do activities, parents can come along with the young children, and they can learn inside by doing activities inside the building. But also we have an area that we would left in the wild for them to go out and plant or do some surveys, whether it's on insects or surveying the plants, and see how the whole biodiversity on Montserrat occurs. We are conscious that the biodiversity of Montserrat is important, and that children at a young age need to appreciate the biodiversity. So we are creating a space, a small space as it is, for our children, our young children, to be able to go outdoors, to plant, to watch things grow, and also to see things growing in the wild, to look at butterflies, to look at crickets, to look at other fauna that would appear in this environment, and that they would get to appreciate the biodiversity of Montserrat.
And John Ward, wearing your project officer hat rather than your shared adopter hat at the moment, could you describe what the project officers have been doing here? And we'll also talk at some stage, I probably imagine with Vinay, about the involvement of the young people. But what the project officers have been doing?
Okay, I'm one third of what makes up the project officer for the Adopt a Home for Wildlife project. My name is Delmore Ryan, and along with Elvis Gerald, who is the agricultural expert project officer, and Ajame White, who is the environmental expert project officer. I wear the admin and finance hat, but as well as providing support in the field in the invertebrate surveys as well as the vegetation surveys of the lot. So we have undertaken both invertebrate surveys where we found, interestingly, on this site, the hive of a bumblebee nest. So you probably see a bit of that as we go along on this journey, as we discuss the plans here. There's quite a few, I must say, the insect fauna has been great, and one of the greatest that we've seen in comparison to the other lots that we have also surveyed. But on this lot, it's just really rich in both the insect and the flora. And there's just so much that we need to learn. Interestingly, there are few plants, and this is probably one of the sites that has the highest number of unknowns. So there are few unknowns in terms of our flora that we are not yet able to identify, and we'll have to continue to do further research, and that will be interesting as we develop the site for young persons, for them too to be part of that research, because those plants are located in the area that will remain wild, and we intend for them to be part of that discussion and that research. So the intention is to learn more about the lot as we continue developing the knowledge and the skills for our young persons, but even among ourselves as project officers, learning the fauna and the flora around this on this particular site, the EcoPlay Park.
So in fact there's an opportunity for young people, if they get really interested, to become actually the expert for some of these things.
Yes, because even though we had persons who are seasoned in identifying the flora on Montserrat, we all reached a point where there were just some that we just did not know the name of. And although we've placed them out in the international sphere, the responses are still slow, which looks like this could be a very interesting topic as we have the youngsters involved in being able to research more what type of flora are we seeing on this lot.
Indeed. It's actually faster than it used to be with the help of now the internet and social media.
Yes.
Everything used to be done by snail mail, which is very slow indeed.
Yes. So yeah, that's the exciting part. There were also some challenges in relation to this site, in particular because where we stand may possibly be a building, and it will impact what happens in relation to that, the biodiversity of the lot. So we're still trying to make sure that even through that construction phase, we're able to protect the ecosystem on this lot and encourage the flora and fauna by the way that we maintain the lot during that process.
Yes, it's certainly going to be a challenge, isn't it? Getting the
Yes.
building on here without destroying what you want to keep.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think too it could be a very good example for other home builders or developers in how do you balance your development while at the same time ensuring that you conserve and protect our biodiversity, because you never know, there may be another endemic somewhere on this lot, and because we don't take care in what we're doing and recording what we're doing through that process, we may very well lose something that is valuable to Montserrat. And this is a good example of what can happen in sharing with developers when we go through the process of the construction on this site.
Yes, I recall in another island, another territory in the Caribbean, one of the hotel developers made a special feature of only removing the vegetation actually where the building was to be, not around it. The usual practice there was to remove everything. And he told me how other hotel hoteliers came to visit him and said, "How did you get your vegetation so good?" I said, "I didn't take it away." So I think there are good examples to be laid there.
Yes, and I guess where there are areas where you must remove, we have that opportunity to get samples and keep those species samples that we can now propagate and replant back after the process. So it'll be a good lesson for us in how we do that we can share with others.
That seems a very important thing to share with others. I mean, you can presumably collect seeds,
Yes.
or you can, as you say, take cuttings, and you have experts like Elvis Gerard from the Department of Agriculture who can advise on the best way of propagating trees and other plants. So that's a good team of expertise that you've got around you.
But even here at the Trust is an opportunity for our landscapers and gardeners to learn about the ecosystem here and the flora and the fauna and how you take care of them, how you can integrate that. So you notice in the lot that although we try to maintain manicured areas, so to speak, we also leave some of the plants around the trees, and that would encourage the ecosystem to still remain rather than having all the butterflies and all the bees and insects being removed during a cutting. We can cut, but at the same time leave some space for those invertebrates to continue to reproduce and grow and be around the garden, because as you look next door, you can see the trees, they are bearing pods. So we have our pigeon peas, and there's a Creole garden next door, and as a result of having the invertebrates being very vibrant and popular here, it contributes to our pollination right next door. All of our crops, they bear. We have no issues with production to the point that we're able to sell the overflow. So it does show that having a wildlife space and how you manage that wildlife space, even in development, adds value to our overall well-being, because that's food. And the flowers is all a part of your mental health, just looking at the greenery and enjoying the scenery and encouraging a home for invertebrates.
A true home for wildlife.
Yes.